Hey everybody, welcome to Love Always Adventure Often. This is the first live video I've ever done, so if this doesn't go well, don't shoot me. Anyway, I don't know how to see if anybody's on here or not, but if you're on here and you want to ask questions throughout this, that would be fantastic. So a couple of weeks ago, probably about 4 weeks ago now, I released a video that talked about why we love the composting toilet. Now, I had no idea that this was going to be our biggest video. And I know because why it is, because it's really searchable and there's a lot of people curious about it. But when I released it, I had no idea that it would get 50,000 views in the first 3.5 weeks. Now with that, with all those views have come a flood of questions, and a lot of them are repeated over and over and over again. I think if you look at the comments section of that video, which I will link that video in the comments or in the description of this live video, it was actually why not to get a composting toilet, and it was a little bit of satire and I had some fun with it. I've gotten a little bit of heat for that, of it being clickbait, but I just wanted to do something different than I had been doing. So anyway, so many questions. I think if you look at that video now, there's something like 600 comments or something like that, and it's all questions about how we interact with the toilet. So I think, hey, what's up, Sarah Marie K? So glad to have you. This is cool. I love this. Live interacting with people, so rad. Anyway, I'm coming to you from inside Buster the Bus on the Oregon coast. We just pulled up to the coast yesterday, and I've been waiting for good enough cell service to do this video live. And thank you, Sarah. We love you. So I've been waiting for an opportunity to do this video live. It's going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to answer the most common questions that I have gotten in that thread. And I'm going to be as honest, and I'm going to be as quick as possible because there's a lot of them. So here we go. The first question, by far the most popular question, which I would never have anticipated, and that just tells you a little bit about my toilet behavior, is diarrhea. Everybody wants to know about diarrhea, and I don't blame them. I don't experience it that often, so it didn't even occur to me that that would be an issue, a thought, all of that kind of stuff. And I did not address it in the first video, in the composting toilet video. I will say this. We've had ew, LOL, right? That's, yeah, whatever. But what are we talking about? We're talking about toilets and poop and pee. So whatever. I'm just going to dive right into it. We've experienced this a couple times now since putting that video out. And honestly, it functions pretty much exactly the same way any other toilet does. And I'll be honest, like with any other toilet, we've had to do some cleanup afterwards, and with this toilet we had to do some cleanup afterwards. So not a big deal, not a huge difference. I think some of the words that were used to explain or describe the diarrhea was like words like explosive and just crazy crazy comment. Not crazy, I really appreciate it, and I wanted a real talk about this subject, so I really appreciate the comments. But man, it blew me away how many people were wondering about diarrhea. It's the same as any other toilet from our experience. A little bit of cleanup there, a little bit of cleanup here. That's the way this life works, I guess. All right, so next thing, plastic bag. I got a lot of comments on the plastic bag. And in the video, I empty the toilet for the very first time. You get to see the whole process. You get to see my surprise when I open the lid. You get to see, like, that was truly my first time even opening the toilet after being used. And it was a little surprising. It wasn't bad at all. It smelled like dirt. I was honest in that video. It still smells like dirt. Even now that I've emptied it numerous times. But a lot of people were wondering about the plastic bag. One of my points was it's environmentally friendly. And I was not clear on this point. I was referring to water usage. Every time that toilet flushes in a house, the amount of water that is used to get rid of that, to me, it's a lot. It's a lot of water, and you times that by 5 people a day and multiple usages and toilets that don't do like the number 1 or the number 2, so it's the full amount of water every single time. It's a little wasteful, I think. So this was my first time emptying it, and yes, I used a black plastic bag, and yes, I do understand that black plastic or any plastic at all is not environmentally friendly. I got some comments on that and a little bit grilled, and believe me, I'm right there with you. It was my very first time emptying it. I did not have my systems down. Now we're trying to be a lot more conscious about that. So we're using biodegradable bags, and we're doing some other methods when we're out in the woods. Like when we were in the woods of Oregon, we were up in the mountains, super soft soil. We could dig a hole. We took the whole tub out and just dumped it and put it in the hole and then buried it. And it was obviously a lot better than putting more plastic into our oceans and landfills and blah, 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 blah. So I get your point on the plastic bag, and I promise you we avoid it at any opportunity we possibly can. I'm gonna get to more disposal stuff in a minute because there was a lot of questions around disposal. If you can hear me okay, if everything's coming through all right, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, say this is disgusting, this is a disgusting topic, but thank you for doing a live video for your first time. And anyway, let's keep going. There are a lot of people saying that why would I spend $1,000 on a toilet when I could get a bucket and a seat and put some sawdust in it. Thank you for letting me know. Good audio. Thanks for the live vid. Awesome. Perfect, perfect. I saw a legality question there. I'm going to address that in just a minute. It's on my list. I'm not ignoring you. We are going to talk about legal stuff. And anyway, so they tell me I can get a bucket and a toilet seat and put some sawdust in. Here's the thing. This is our home. This is the place where we live, eat, sleep, do school, all of that kind of stuff. We want our kids to feel like this is a home. So I do get that in certain circumstances, the bucket and the seat would work. But for us, we wanted our bus to feel like a home. We wanted the bathroom to look like a bathroom, and we wanted it to be legit. Also, I love paying people for their ingenuity, for creating alternate sources that are maybe a little bit more responsible environmentally or whatever. I just love paying for that. I have no problem, and I had no problem. I said it in the other video, $1,000, the toilet was the best $1,000 I spent on our bus. Hands down, I wouldn't do it any different. So I love paying people for their ingenuity. I wanted it to look like our home, and that's the choice that we went. If you go with a bucket and a toilet seat, that is great for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Next, expense. So some people asked about the $1,000 to buy the toilet. I've addressed that. I love that we spent $1,000 on it. I love that there's companies making these sort of things. Are they charging more for it than they should or need to? Maybe, but it seemed like the best option for me. People asked about other brands. We didn't do, and this is my fault, I should have, we didn't do any research into other brands of composting toilets. And so we definitely could have done that. I know that some people talk about a Seahead and a few other different brands. So check those out. I would definitely do more research now, but the Nature's Head is all we heard about, and so we went for it. And we haven't looked back. We've loved it. So that's the expense of the actual toilet. Some people have asked about the expense of the fill. So right now we're using peat moss, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute as well. Is this really live? Yes, Jason, this is really live. Coming to you right now from the coast of Oregon, I swear to you. I know there's a lot of comments popping up right here, and I'm having a hard time following them, and I don't have somebody monitoring them for me, so I'm sorry if I missed one of your comments, and that's why you're asking if it's really live. So anyway, the expense of peat moss, and I'm going to get back to the fill in just a minute, but the expense of peat moss has been nothing. We have bought one bag of peat moss. One bag of peat moss. I think it was like $15. What's up, Rhizomatic Movement? Hello from Philadelphia. Yeah, so we I think we've spent $15 for the peat moss, and I don't even know how many cycles we've gone through now, and we still have probably more than half the bag. So the expense of owning the toilet is zilch, none. I had to pay to dispose of it when we were in Bend, because we were living in town at a friend's house, parked on their driveway, and I needed to pay to dump it at the dump. So that was an expense that we accrued. I didn't want to illegally dump it. That's the expense of owning it. Somebody asked about temperature, or a few people asked about temperature. I did a little research on this. It's really hard to find information about decomposition or composting of human waste. There's just not a lot of people writing about it. But the best I could find is that any composting situation takes a lot longer or doesn't happen in colder temperatures. And so if the temperatures are colder, I think the composting takes longer, or may not even happen at all. We plan to travel with the weather. We're chasing the sun. We didn't even equip our bus with heat, so we'll be sun chasers and temperature chasers, so it shouldn't be a problem for us. However, if you are considering a composting toilet and you are going to go through some winter times, some colder times inside the bus, you might want to consider that. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but that may affect it. Disposal, tons of questions about disposal, where and how often. And so there's a few answers for this question. If we are parked at an RV park, they have dumpsters available for us. If we are parked in the mountains so far, do you line the number 2 compartment with a liner? We don't. There's no liner available for the number 2 compartment, and there's moving parts. So that's a good question, because we had that question in the comments on the other video as well. Is people are asking, why aren't you putting a liner in this? There is a moving bar that goes in and out each side of the disposal compartment, and you have to turn that after each time you go. And so a liner would be very difficult to interact with those moving parts that stay in that compartment while you empty it. I don't know if I'm explaining that good enough, but you can look at my other video and see the thing turn, and you can kind of get an idea of why a liner really does not work that well with all of those mechanics going on in there. So anyway, back to disposal, where I've paid to dump it at public dump. We've buried it in the mountains, at least 6 inches deep. And then at RV parks, we have a dumpster. So that's where. How often we find ourselves, so it's really like when you turn the wheel on the side of the toilet, after a little while, it'll start to get harder to turn. And that means that the mass is getting more solid in there. And so whenever that handle starts to get more tough to turn, that's when we know it's time to empty it. And for us, that's been about every 5 to 7 days. So once a week. Not a big deal at all. So that's how often. Now, legality. This is where I'm gonna get grilled. I know it. And please, please, please grill me all you want. Let's have more discussion in the comments. There has been so much discussion on my other video about the legality of dumping human waste. I cannot find, it is the Nature's Head. Boiler Up, thank you for asking that. I will restate that again. It is the Nature's Head toilet that I am using. If you haven't watched my previous video about why not to use a composting toilet, go watch that, because all of this conversation will make sense. So much more sense. But thanks for asking. Yes, it is the Nature's Head toilet, and I do know there's a lot of other brands, so I can't speak for those. Didn't do a lot of research. Okay, legality. This is where I'm gonna get grilled. This is where I did get grilled. I can't find anything online anywhere government issued that talks about the legality and disposal of human waste. If you know where there is that, put it in the comments below. I want to read more about it. I want to do this right. There was a comment up there just barely, and I didn't get it. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so we had some comments saying that it is illegal to dispose of human waste in a dumpster. And I get what they're saying. There's a couple of caveats to that. One is hopefully it's composted, right? We try to time it where we don't dump. The last solid was done in the toilet about 48 hours ago. So hopefully most of it is all composted. If not, it will continue to compost inside the bag and in the hole. Now, boiler up, that's exactly where I was going next, I can't tell you how many poopy diapers, lined in plastic, by the way. I've gotten better. I haven't always been tried to be environmentally friendly. Plastic covered baby diapers with poo in them. I can't tell you, after going through 3 kids, how many of those we disposed of in the garbage. That's just it. We are disposing of human waste in the garbage constantly. As far as the question of it being legal to bury it in the mountains, it's not illegal to take a poop in the mountains. In some places, it is illegal to leave your toilet paper, however. So we often will burn I think that's the question I missed that popped up. Toilet paper, how are we disposing of toilet paper? If we know we're throwing the waste in the trash, we just put the toilet paper right in the toilet. If we know we're putting it out in the mountains, we have a little garbage can next to it. We put the toilet paper in there, and then we can burn it, which I think is probably the best disposal way. I don't want to put paper out into the woods, right? So that's as far as I can go on the legality. If there are any law enforcement or lawyers that specialize in human waste watching this, please chime in, send us some resources. There is by far a lack of resources in this area helping people out. So I'd love to know more. I'm not close to the idea and I want to do all this right. But hey, Willow, how's it going? Thanks for saying hi. Welcome. So that's my spiel on legality. Okay, so finally, the fill. I said I would get back to the fill. Peat moss versus coco coir. And it was after we bought our first bag of peat moss, it was brought to my attention in the comment section in that other video, in my original composting toilet video, that it was brought to my attention that peat moss is not very sustainable. And the reason being is that it takes a lot of years to grow. And there are farms growing peat moss that are using mass amounts of water to do so. And I totally see now, after this comment came in and I did a little bit of research, that peat moss is just not that sustainable. So what we've decided to do is after we are through this first bag of peat moss, which apparently is going to take a couple more months. After we're through that bag of peat moss, we are going to move over to what's called coco coir or coconut coir. And it's literally the peelings, the outside kind of hairy stuff on a coconut. It is that broken down into kind of like a powder. I know that it's a little bit more difficult to find. Venting outdoors, that's a great question. I'm going to hit that one. I didn't have it on my list. I'll hit that after my coco coir spill. Anyway, much more sustainable. It's already a byproduct, right? Because we're using these coconuts and then throwing away the byproduct, which is the peel and the core and all that kind of stuff. And why not use that if it's already a byproduct and we don't have to use resources to grow it and produce it, all of that kind of stuff. So we are moving to coco coir. If you have any other suggestions of fillers that work and foster the composting process, then fantastic. Also, a lot of people said that I say composting wrong. I don't know. I pronounce composting wrong. So apparently that was a sticking point for some people, and I apologize. I have been corrected, and I will probably continue to say it wrong. Sorry. It's the way it is. Okay, so ventilation, and that's one thing I did not hit in the original video that somebody pointed out, few people pointed out. Ours does vent to the outside. There's a small computer fan on the side of the toilet that is wired directly into my DC system, and it pushes the air through the solids compartment and out to the outdoors. We had to put a nylon over that little hose nozzle that goes outdoors because flies will come back in. Even with the fan blowing, it's amazing that flies can actually get in there. So we just bought some nylons and cut a little piece out of it, put it inside the over the hole, and that has protected us from any fly infestation to our poop hole. That was a weird way to put that. Anyway, somebody just asked about disposal of liquids. The liquids are super easy to dispose of. I will say, however, way more odor with the liquids than the solids. Once you get 5 people's pee mixed together, it's a foul smell. But that's easily dumped out in the woods, or if we're in an RV park, we can dump it in the actual toilets if there's toilets available. It's either toilets or mountains, and not a big deal. I mean, people pee in the woods all the time. We did, however, get tipped off by another full-time family. There's some hemp-based compost. Sunmar works great. That sounds awesome. I love hemp, especially asparagus pea. Yeah. I mean, you mix asparagus pea with wine pea and water pea and Gatorade pea, and that's like a potion for disaster. Anyway, we're conscious to where we're at, and that determines our, we connected with another full-time family in Bend, Oregon, and we were just sharing war stories, and they were kind of showing us the ropes and giving us some pointers, and they said they put a half cup of sugar, white sugar, in their urine compartment, and that counteracts the acidity of the urine and controls the odor a little bit. So I've been trying this, and I think I've noticed a little bit of a difference, not a huge difference, but yeah. So a half cup of sugar in the urine has worked magic. So anyway, that is the majority of questions that I have gotten on our composting toilet. Once again, I never thought this was going to be a thing. I didn't want to become the toilet guy, but guess what? It chose me. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching this, you probably have already subscribed, but subscribe and we'll have some more fun. We have lots of fun topics that we talk about: Skoolie life, full-time RVing, and full-time travel. And then we have our vlog videos where we show our adventures and the things that we do for fun and the things that we're doing out here. A couple other things to tell you about really quick. lovealwaysadventureoften.com. I love giving people this website because you don't get to hear much from my wife, Kate, but that's where she writes blog posts. She's not as comfortable with the camera, but she's a beautiful writer, and we blog her writings there about our adventures. It's sporadic, but thanks, Brian. I will let you know where we're going. We'll keep you up to date. Right now we're on the coast in Florence, Oregon, and it's amazingly beautiful, and we're working our way north up towards Seattle. So go to lovealwaysadventureoften.com. You can also find cool t-shirts, and not this one. This is a Dirty Heads t-shirt. Thanks, Sarah. I'm so glad you like our episodes. We are having a blast on YouTube. I honestly had no idea it would be this fun. I resisted it forever. But anyway, sorry, is there going to be a regular video soon? Always look forward to once a week. I try to get a vlog out once a week and an additional video about schoolies or RVs or full timing or something like that. That's kind of my formula, is 2 a week. One's a vlog and one is a more informative, this is how we live, this is how we build, blah, 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 that sort of thing. So this will be, that one for this week. Anyway, finally, we have a Patreon page. I feel weird saying this and asking for it, but man, we can do so much more with our videos if people help us out on Patreon. It's a couple bucks an episode. I only run one video through it a month, so you're paying a couple bucks a month to look at this beautiful thing. The money maker. Anyway, patreon.com/love always adventure often. Mostly, we love the community. We are loving the comments and the conversations. That's the best part of doing all of this, is being able to interact with all of you. And I mean that when I say that. I know you hear it a lot, but we just love reading the comments and having a good time with it. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions about the composting toilet, put them in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. Let's get this thing as many views. You can help me with this by commenting. Let's get this thing as many views as the other one has, so we can bring some clarity to that video and help some folks out. That's really what it's all about. I want to help as many people live this dream as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being on here. Thank you for your comments. Remember, love always, adventure often. How do I stop this thing?